Hello, Kayla. Now, we've got Kathy and Paul. Now, you guys know about, we will go through this when everyone gets on, but the message comments part, hey?
As in like in the chat?
Yeah, the chat, that's right.
Yeah, so everyone open up the chat if you can and say hello if you can hear us.
Yes, please. Oh, yes, we've got a chat. Here we go.
Hey, Kathy. Hey,
Oh,
Kayla.
hello.
Thanks for chiming in. We'll give everyone another 20 seconds and then we'll get into it.
Perfect.
Kayla, how are you going today?
I'm good. I was a little tired today.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
I was a little bit dusty from the weekend.
From some ISO drinks, maybe.
Some low carb margaritas. Yes.
I like it.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well actually. The sun was out in Melbourne this morning, so
Nice.
yeah. Well, it was actually out all day. It was beautiful. I was sitting there on the laptop eating some grapes, getting some sun.
Beautiful.
Hello, Raghu. Glad you can hear us. Alrighty,
Perfect.
let's get into it. Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. I'm very excited to present Michaela Sparrow.
Hello.
We've got some really cool content coming up about looking after our body so we can maintain a healthy weight, because we don't want to be doing this all the time, right? And to get a really good understanding of why sometimes our weight isn't easy to keep off and to look after ourselves as best as possible. So I'm going to share my screen and we shall get into it. Here we are. And I can do this. Cool. Oh, I've got the chat there. I'm going to minimize that.
Cool.
All right. Here we are. So good evening. Looking forward to getting some cool information to everyone tonight on healthy and long-lasting weight loss. To get into it, here we are. Michaela, thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure having you on board as always. We had some really good feedback a couple of weeks ago, and it's exciting to do another one of these with you. So thanks for coming on board.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm Michaela. I am a degree qualified naturopath. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and I'm a certified anti-aging practitioner. So I specialize in anti-aging and longevity medicine, looking and feeling as young and beautiful for as long as possible. But I've written this webinar. I wanted to tell you guys about it. It's about healthy and long-lasting weight loss, because I, over the years, struggled with my weight among a few other health issues. I had insulin resistance, hypothyroidism, depression, anxiety, all these things going on, and I could not lose weight. And I would have been classed as the healthiest person you would have met in your life when you saw what I ate. But I just wasn't eating right for my body type. So I was going to the gym for 2 hours every day. The weight wasn't coming off, and it was really taking a toll further on my mental health and the frustration, because, you know, you feel like you're doing everything right and you can't lose weight. And when I started studying my degree and we started looking at how all the body systems interact with each other, you know, what's happening in one system is going to impact another, I finally found an answer as to why I wasn't losing weight. So basically, using these principles, I put together, you know, some of the things that I see in clinic. I've seen like over 100 women now in my clinic with very similar symptoms as to what I had, and we're going to talk about that in this webinar and why they couldn't lose weight. The key for it, though, is not obsessing over weight side. We're looking at nourishing and repairing our body. The side effect is weight loss, and that's the best way to, you know, go on a weight loss journey. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, and couldn't agree more. If we actually put weight loss aside and address the fundamentals, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
Cool. And just a bit about myself, for those of you who don't know me, I took over my family-run business, iHealth Saunas. It'll be 4 years ago now, actually. I'm turning 27 tomorrow. I'm the sauna guy. A lot of you know me as I'm the host of the Sweat It Out podcast, which you can find on iTunes. And I'm into my fasting, and I'm into just doing whatever I can do every day to honor and look after this body that I've been gifted. I was lucky enough to grow up in my parents' business, helping sick people since pretty much as long as I can remember. And it's really inspired me to help spread the message of looking after the body, because I was seeing day in, day out what would happen if I didn't look after my body. In 40 years' time, I was meeting people that I was going to be, and I didn't want to be that. And I want to spread the message to help people look after themselves and thrive into their old age. So that's what I'm ultimately passionate about. And that's what hopefully we're doing a little bit of today. So moving on tonight, just real quick, ask questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Whilst I'm sharing the screen, Michaela is going to keep an eye on those. We'll do our best to answer the questions as we go, and then we'll leave some time at the end for questioning as well. Our intention is to provide insight into achieving long-lasting weight loss. That's what we're here to do tonight. At the end, we'll talk a little bit about how you can work more closely with either of us, but we want to just give you as much info as possible. And lastly, take some notes. I've got a notepad here. Take some notes. If anything just comes up and you think, oh, I want to learn a bit more about that or check into it, write it down, write it in your phone somewhere, and then you can go back and review that later. Tonight, we're going to be talking about diet. We're going to be talking about stress, sleep, liver function, thyroid function, insulin resistance, diet again, because it's so important. I'll talk a little bit about the fundamentals, and we'll talk about some cool infrared sauna stuff at the end. I wrote but why there, but you've just covered your why very beautifully, Michaela. So thank you for doing that. Without further ado, I believe I will stop sharing and hand it over to you.
Beautiful. Let me fiddle around here for a second, get mine up.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to see you guys.
Jasmine.
Okay, so I probably won't be able to see you. Bear with me 1 second. Where are we? Screen share. There we are. Okay. Can you see that?
Can see that. Yes.
Perfect. All right, we'll press play. And then I can see myself and I can see you. Beautiful. Yep. And you keep an eye on comment or messages. If you guys have any questions throughout, I reckon ask them during, just so we're on the kind of same topic. And just so you know, I will be sending out, I have written a free ebook that kind of talks about a lot of the stuff that we're discussing tonight. So we'll send it to you guys with the recording, you know, just in case you don't take enough notes or you want to go back and read some more stuff. There's plenty of info. I think I've got some recipes in there and things like that as well.
Beautiful.
So let's get started. So this is the fundamentals of healthy and long-lasting weight loss. So what I've seen in my clinic that works for losing weight and keeping weight off and making it sustainable, long-lasting, so we're not going in those yo-yo cycles, which so many people do. But it gives you a really good understanding of what is happening with your body. So if it wants to press play there. So first of all, there is no one diet that fits all. What works for one person, it may not always be suited to another person. So you might have a friend that did a diet and they lost heaps of weight and then you did it and you might not have. You know, there's so many different things that influence our body as to how we respond to foods that we put in them. So there's a few reasons and a few factors that may influence that. Genetics is a really big thing, of course. You know, we might be passed down with genes that stop us from being able to metabolize carbohydrates properly, or we store fat in certain areas, that kind of thing. Gut health is a really big one, hormonal health, liver function, mental health, thyroid function. There's a whole bunch of stuff which we're all going to talk about and how they are influencing our body. But in saying that, always, you know, the number one rule is regardless of the diet that you're on, you have to burn more calories than you eat. Unfortunately, we can't just gorge on all the food, even if it's healthy. You'll gain weight because that's just the common law. That being said, I hate counting calories myself. And when I work with clients, we do it in a way that they don't have to count calories, you know, learning to eat intuitively. But when you're starting out, it is a good idea to keep track because it's really easy to go over your calorie intake for the day.
Yeah, I think it's something that it's just like you don't have to do it all the time. But once you get an idea, I mean, we're generally eating the same foods, right? So once you get an idea of like, oh, this meal's this and this meal's that, then you don't have to do so much math.
Exactly, no calculating, yeah. And I'm really lazy, so I just, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like doing it, so I assume other people don't like doing it too. But the first thing that I really want to talk about, you know, and how this impacts weight, among other things, is chronic stress. So it is a modern day health epidemic. Chronic stress, which is experiencing stress for longer than 3 weeks, so every day for longer than 3 weeks, is more harmful to the body than smoking cigarettes in the long term. So that's crazy. It is the underlying cause for a lot of health issues age-related disease, including weight. So, you know, whilst feeling stressed occasionally is totally normal, you know, you're running late for work and someone cuts you off and you scream and yell, but then you get to work and you're fine. That's normal. It's a normal physiological response we have for survival. But when you are in that stress state, you know, all day, every day, maybe you get an hour or two where you veg out in front of the TV and that's your only time of not feeling stressed, it wreaks havoc on our body because we release a lot of cortisol constantly, which does a whole bunch of things, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Chronic stress can be caused by heaps of different things, you know, relationships, work, your finances, especially times like now with,
Like the phone. I was saying the phone.
Right. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were like saying your phone's on.
No.
Your phone, you know, right now, COVID, all this stuff, all this uncertainty, we're in a high state of stress. Even caring for children, you know, if you have special needs children or kids that are you have 5 kids under the age of 5 or something, you know, like you're going to put you in a stress state. And there's not much we can do about these things. You know, we can't run away from our jobs. We have to pay our bills. So we need to find ways that we can reduce stress and protect our body, which is possible. But how does stress affect weight? So when we experience chronic stress, we release some hormones such as cortisol. Now, cortisol is the main stress hormone. We're meant to have a little burst of it in the morning to get us out of bed and get us going, and then it slowly dwindles down. I'm making sure you can see my hands in the day. But when we're chronically stressed, we're constantly pumping it out. So we're in this fight or flight mode. We're ready to either run or to attack a saber-toothed tiger. So we can, you know, we have that energy, we have that surge. But what happens is if you're having too much cortisol at the wrong time, it stops you from being able to lose weight. First of all, your body thinks that you're going to go into a famine, you're going to starve to death. So it's going to hold onto that fat. And it's going to hold, and I know you can't see me, but it's going to hold on to the fat, especially around the midsection for both men and women, but in particular women, because we're protecting our reproductive organs. So if you find you got to you're gaining more, even if you're gaining weight all over, if you're gaining it more around the belly, it can be a sign of cortisol. But what also happens with stress is it reduces our ability to regulate our appetite. So we might be more inclined to just go, screw it, I'm going to eat this chocolate. Whereas if we're not stressed, we're able to recognize when we're really hungry and when we're not. It'll also impact your insulin, which I'm going to talk about in a minute as well, and your sleep, and they all play a role. So stress, if you want to lose weight and you can't get it off, we want to get that stress down. We want to get that cortisol low and slow, as I say.
Is stress kind of like number one thing that you talk about with your clients when we're talking about weight loss? Is that like, before anything else, let's not even talk about diet, because if you're stressed, it doesn't matter what you're putting in.
Doesn't matter. Look, honestly, in my clinic, the main focus when anyone comes to me, regardless of whether it's weight loss or not, is your adrenal function, your endocrine system. So the adrenals is where stress comes from. That's always number one, because if that's not working properly, you know, I can throw that many different things at you and it's not going to address the underlying cause. So we always look at adrenal function, stress first. Yeah.
I also love that bit about the body just like holds on to fat around all the reproductive organs, and it just holds on to fat because when we're in fight or flight, the body doesn't know if we're not going to be eating for a few weeks. Right?
Exactly. And, you know, living how we do now, we're definitely going to be eating.
Right. Yeah. And as we'll see, when we're more stressed, our hunger hormones are out of balance as well, right?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
And I get it myself, you know, like I take herbs and supplements and all these things. You still get stressed. I run a business, you know, and I notice it. So I know what it's like when you're like, oh, especially the salty cravings. The salty cravings are a big indication of too much cortisol. So if you're really salty, wanting like chips or cheese and those kind of things, the reason being we use a lot of electrolytes in our adrenal glands to produce that cortisol. So you're burning through electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium. So you're burning through them really quickly. So then your body's like, give me some more salt. But of course, we're reaching for like chicken salt on chippies and those kind of things. Yeah.
That's fascinating, actually. That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a good indication of what, you know, your cravings are telling you something. So salty is usually adrenal. I mean, I can't box everyone into that, but yeah. But yeah, so what does cortisol do? I've just said this, but it increases insulin, which is a fat storing hormone. I have insulin resistance, which I'll talk about soon. It increases cravings and our appetite. It imbalances our blood sugar. So if you get that afternoon energy crash where you're like, oh my God, and I just need some chocolate or just something to pep me up.
With a muffin, right?
Yeah, that can be because your cortisol levels have dropped, impacting your blood sugar. It can also just be blood sugar by itself as well. Mm-hmm. This is the thing about the body. It's so complicated and convoluted, and it's like a vicious cycle. But yeah, if you've got that combination of increased cortisol with insulin and you're increasing that fat store, especially, so you've got the cortisol, which is the belly, the front of the belly. The insulin's like the love handles in the back. So that's where my problem areas were. Like I looked pregnant, and like skinny legs. So it was good if you could wear a short dress and that billowed out here and hid everything. But yeah, they call that the apple shape. It's the unhealthiest shape to have, because it's putting a lot of pressure around your heart and your organs. Mm. Yeah. That's a total sidebar though. So please stop me if I get ahead or I talk too quickly. I do love this subject. High cortisol has an impact on other body functions that then therefore impact weight gain or weight loss as well. So cortisol increases inflammation around the whole body. That impedes your liver function. That'll impede your gut health and your mental health, your immunity, if I already said that. Cortisol will impact your sleep. So if you're having trouble getting to sleep, but if you find yourself waking up, especially around like between 2 and 4 a.m., it can be because your liver's not working well enough or you're getting a really premature surge of cortisol. So your cortisol's out of balance. And then, chronic stress, that inflammation, that exposure to cortisol will increase your risk of depression. Like I've had depression. I know what it's like. You don't want to get out of bed. You want to just eat, lay around, and going for a walk is like the last thing you want to do. That's just what happens. So it's a bad thing that's impacting a lot of things. So this is why we want to do activities that reduce stress, reduce cortisol, keep everything calm and chill. Pilates, yoga, walking, weight training is ideal. They all help with lowering cortisol, increasing your endorphins and your feel-good neurotransmitters. So the hormones in the brain that make you feel good and motivated, dopamine, serotonin. But they also help prevent an increase in cortisol, but will lower the cortisol. The sauna does, like I use the sauna every day and my husband does too. And if I'm like in a bad mood or I'm stressed out, like especially the last few weeks when all the crazy stuff was going on, like you get in there, physically it feels like you're sweating out the stress, like that placebo effect, but you actually are increasing those endorphins and lowering that cortisol, which is lovely.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's like a de-stress box sometimes,
And it's all well and good for me to say, like, if you're stressed, go for a walk, work out. Like, you don't always feel like that. So there are other strategies to reduce stress, but the number one thing you could do for weight loss, for lowering cortisol, is going for a walk outside. That's all. The best thing you could do, 20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
And I mean, you're addressing a few of those fundamentals that we'll talk about as well. You're going outside, you're getting fresh air, you're seeing greenery, like our body drops in core temperature when we see green, and you're moving, you're getting the circulation moving, you're getting those endorphins flowing, and, walks are so simple, but, aren't most of the good things in life. And so powerful to just go for a walk and shift your energy, shift your mind. I always do that at work when I'm like stuck in a rut of emails or something. I'm just like, I need to go for a walk. And then you come back and it's like, I've solved that problem and I figured that thing out,
Yeah, like you gain more clarity. Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure. So definitely. But I mean, for me also, the sauna is a great one because I can just sit on my butt.
Exactly. And have some time for you,
Yeah, totally. But other ways we can lower stress and cortisol. So obviously that low impact exercise or walking, meditation, there's different types of meditation and mindfulness. Not everyone can sit there and hum along and walk down a golden path and those kind of things. I'm not one of those people. So my mindfulness meditation might be playing chess or coloring in a book, or knitting or something like that, where you're focused on the very moment. Time out in nature is a great one. So even just getting a blanket and some pillows and going to sit on your lawn for half an hour in the sunshine, fresh air if it's in the afternoon, whenever. That will do wonders. There's a lot of science behind it's called forest bathing, which seems bizarre because it just seems like it is a natural thing. It shouldn't have a name. But being outside around trees is, proven to have an energetic and physiological effect on our bodies as far as calming, relaxing, reducing inflammation, anti-aging. Fabulous.
Yeah, and also I imagine grounding would also be good at lowering cortisol as well. Like
definitely, yes, yeah. And that's what you're getting two birds with one stone with time out in nature. If you're sitting on a rug, you're not wearing shoes, you're connecting to that earth. We are made of negative ions. The earth is made of negative ions, but in our houses, with the electronics and everything that we're surrounded by, it's a lot of positive ions, and we need to have a good balance of positive and negative. If you're inside all the time, your negative ion balance is going to go out of whack, and it will definitely impact the oxidative stress on the body, which will then impact inflammation and then cortisol. Yeah. This is my number one tip that I tell all my clients. If they have any issues with stress, you want regular protein. You want it every 2 to 3 hours. When I say regular protein, it doesn't have to be like 50 grams of protein or a protein shake. I mean, you can have a protein shake, but literally like a cheese stick, like a small tub of yogurt, maybe some hummus and some veggie sticks, a chia pudding, an egg,
Yeah. How about like a handful of nuts or something?
Handful of nuts, perfect. Yep. All those. What it does is it does two things. It helps regulate directly on the adrenals the production of cortisol. So it helps lower that cortisol up throughout the day, but it also will keep your blood sugar stable. So when our blood sugar drops or it goes too high, then we will have surge cortisol. So it's what I call being low and slow. We just want everything to be calm, because if it's going up and down too much, the adrenals don't get a chance to heal. This works better than any supplement, any herb, anything else, having that regular protein. So breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, basically.
I like that because you get to snack.
You get to snack. Right. Obviously, if you're going to have nuts, don't eat them straight out of the bag, or you'll do what I do and you accidentally eat a whole bag. And look, nuts are delicious and they're very good for us, but not when you're eating a bag and it has 5,000 calories. A lot of this information is in that ebook book we're sending you out, but regular protein is a very, very important part. And then, really taking the time for self-care. Self-care isn't selfish. To be healthy and happy, we need time to nourish our body and our soul. So whether that be having a nice bath, going for a massage, reading a book outside, if you need to zone out on trashy TV. Obviously, there's limits to the trashy TV. I wouldn't recommend maths or anything like that because it's very stressful. But, I like Downton Abbey or Escape to the Country, like things that aren't going to get you too riled up.
Right.
And taking your time away from the things that cause you stress. And I have so many most of my clients are women. I do have a few men, but their issue is that they get a lot of mum guilt about taking time out for themselves. They put their kids, their husband, their family first always. So for me, a lot of the time I'm really teaching women that it's okay. You can have an afternoon on the weekend that's for you, and close the door and everyone go away, and just have time for you and not feel guilty, because it's about, like you can't pour from an empty cup, that saying, you need to replenish yourself, and you need to do it weekly.
Yeah.
So if you have to start off with 1 hour and then build your way up. But I think, it's empowering yourself to not feel guilty about taking out the time that you need to do something that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think that's like, if everyone gets nothing else from this webinar, that is the thing to take back. I think reiterating the point here that if we're stressed out, nothing else we do in our health is going to work because it's all going to be shut down from stress. And us humans are really good at like not giving any time for ourselves, especially mums. I love my mum, and every day I'm telling her, like, please, like, do this for you, like do something for you. Have you had time for yourself today? Because it's vital. You can't pour from that empty cup. And it goes for everyone, but especially mums. There's so many amazing mums out there, and women in general, always so giving.
Yeah.
And you got to give to yourself first before you can truly give to others, you know. So, I just really wanted to reiterate that because I think it's a really important point.
So it's a good mantra to have. Self-care isn't selfish. If you're feeling guilty about doing something, or, you know, and I tell my clients, and even my male clients too, because, you know, they're providers. They're always worrying about providing for their family. And it's about stepping away from the roles that we give ourselves for other people and just focusing on the role for ourselves. Yeah. Right. Your kids, your family, everyone is going to survive. Trust me.
They'll actually survive better because you'll be coming from a place of
you'll be more chilled out and more easy to cope. There are many herbs and nutrients I prescribe in clinic that are clinically shown to reduce or modulate the cortisol and reduce those stress hormones, repair adrenal glands. Vitamin C is a very important one. So regular vitamin C intake, you can do it with lemon juice in your food, berries, those kind of things, or you could do like a vitamin C chewable tablet. You can get very good ones from me, but that really would do. Yeah. Or some really nice herbal herbs that I use in clinic, like withania, rhodiola. You can get a lot of them in herbal teas as well. But, you know, I'll send you out this information. We'll send you out this book. You can always email me if you need, have any questions.
Does vitamin C just help support the adrenals in a way? Yes. And that's how it helps?
So the vitamin C is stored in the adrenal glands. And when we are stressed and we make cortisol, we use that vitamin C to make cortisol. So if you're constantly making that cortisol, you're not going to have enough vitamin C for the rest of your body as well.
Yeah.
So we need it to repair the adrenal tissue, which gets damaged from constantly pumping out.
Yeah, beautiful. There was a quick question from Rosalind. She just mentioned menopause information, please. Yes. So I don't know if you touch on that a bit later, or if
there's not a lot of specific about progesterone and estrogen in this thing, but everything that we're talking about is relevant for menopause, and everything that I would talk about is what I use in and what I look at in my clients with menopause. So if you're focusing on these things, especially when we get to liver health and things like that, it's going to start help you regulate those hormones for the weight loss side for sure. This is like the things that I talk about in this webinar are the underlying cause of all weight. Yeah, regardless of what your hormones are like, stress will impact your female sex hormones, liver, gut health. It all will. But you can always chat to me after, and we can even look at a consult or something if it's not enough for you.
Beautiful.
Cool. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is sleep and how that affects weight. Sleep obviously is the most important part of our health journey or how we live. Deep restorative sleep, it's one of the most important factors for general for general well-being, but also for weight loss, anti-aging, disease prevention as well. So ideally, the average person needs 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep each night. So that's where you fall asleep and you don't get up, which is really very rare for a lot of people. And ideally, like I say, 7 to 9, the most recent research is especially for as far as like Alzheimer's and dementia prevention, cognitive decline prevention, 8 to 9 hours. Because at that hour 8 to 9 is when we get the glymphatic flush. The glymphatic flush, I have a lisp, so I struggle with these words, is where our lymph system, which is our sewer system in our body, has this huge flush of fluid that goes up the back of in our brain basically, and flushes out all the crap basically out of the brain. And if that doesn't happen because you're not getting that 8 to 9 hours sleep, it's not clearing out all the debris and cellular waste. And that builds up and that impacts how healthy our brain ages and increases our risk of things like cognitive decline and dementia and Alzheimer's. So definitely at least 7 hours for the weight loss side of things and stress. But if you really want that, ultimate healing sleep, you want to get 8 to 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what, I will do a little total sidebar a few times, but we need to cycle through the sleep stages around 5 times. And during each stage of the sleep cycle, different processes of repair and regeneration happen. So you need to be hitting all of them. Yeah. And if we don't get enough sleep or we have interrupted sleep, our body doesn't get that full chance for repair. And then a couple of things happen as far as weight loss goes. So it disrupts several hormones, including cortisol. Obviously, you'll start to make cortisol in the nighttime. You make it at the wrong time. You're going to be storing fat while you sleep. That's the last thing you want. But also another hormone, so leptin, which is the hormone that's responsible for making us feel full. So when you eat properly and slowly, after like 20 or 30 minutes, you'll get a surge of leptin that tells you, you know what, I'm hungry. I'm full now. I don't need to eat anymore. When we don't get enough sleep, we don't make enough of the leptin. So we're going to be hungrier easier. We're not going to feel full after we eat a meal. Like if you have a really big night and you don't get much sleep, when you just want hot chippies and a burger, but then you ate like 2 blocks of chocolate and a tub of ice cream, you're like, I don't know how I fit that all in there, but I did. Because we didn't have any leptin.
Yeah, one of those days on Saturday, Friday night, watched a movie until like 11, which is way past my bedtime. And then all day Saturday, I was just like, where's some food around here? Like, I'm just not satisfied with whatever I'm eating,
It's
and
like,
then it's a good sleep Saturday night, Sunday, good to go.
Yeah, totally. So very important. The other hormone that gets impacted is ghrelin. So ghrelin makes us hungry. So when our bellies get empty, and based on our circadian rhythm, our internal body clock, we'll have a little surge. So usually around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But poor sleep increases the production of ghrelin. So it makes you hungrier. So you've got low leptin, which is not making you, so you're not feeling full, and you're getting a big surge of ghrelin, which is making you hungry. You're just wanting, you just lose that, what's the word, where you just, inhibition. You lose the inhibition to stop yourself from, I'll just pull into the Macca's and get some chips on the way home. That kind of thing, where usually if you're not starving, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, so you start going for the quick, fast and cheap option instead of maybe I'll spend 20 minutes longer and cook something nice at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally can relate.
And then, like I said, it will increase cortisol. So it'll increase the fat storing hormone, insulin. It'll imbalance your blood sugar. And it just creates a nasty, vicious cycle. And not only that, if you're making cortisol when you should be repairing, you're increasing inflammation in the body. That's impacting the liver and the gut health. So it's just this, not a good thing. Yeah. So we want to work on how we can make sleep great. First, let me say this. We sleep because it's become such a habit. It is one of the things that I find for a lot of my clients to get, like I'll send them home from my consult with some supplements and some lifestyle advice, but it's not for, it takes them a couple nights before it starts working, because you're in a cycle, in a habit of having crappy sleep. So these are the tried and true methods for helping to improve sleep. So avoiding your blue lights 3 hours before bed, or past 7 p.m. Now, blue lights are your LED lights in your ceiling, your TV, your phone, your laptop, all of that. Now, obviously, for a lot of people, we watch TV with our family. That's what we do in an evening. I would never say to anyone, you can't watch TV because it's going to ruin your sleep. But you can get things to block out the blue light. You can get blue light blocker glasses, which we'll put that link in there. I've got a recommendation for some cheapies. They're like $30. They're not attractive at all. I forgot to bring them out to show you guys. But they're comfortable, and they are red tinted, and they block out all the blue light. So they're fabulous. Or you can use red tinted globes and things like that. But ideally, like no work, no stressful stuff after 7 p.m. anyways, yeah? Avoiding eating 3 hours prior to sleep. So, your body's using a lot of energy to digest your food. So if you have a big meal just like an hour before bed, it's spending a lot of that time trying to digest. You're not going to fall asleep as easy. That being said, I do get quite a few clients to have 10 almonds and half a kiwi fruit before, about half an hour before bed, because it gives you a nice surge of melatonin. So that seems to work. You can do lavender essential oil on the feet or on the temples in a spray bottle. Lavender puts you in a theta brainwave state, which is a very similar, it's the same brainwave state you get in, when you're first starting to doze off to sleep, but you're kind of almost conscious still. It gets you into that state. So it kind of kickstarts the brainwave progression into good sleep. Magnesium is my number one recommendation. 1 hour before bed, magnesium is needed for melatonin, our sleep hormone production. It is deficient, or there's lower amounts in people with chronic stress. It has 300 functions in the body, and I think about 80% of the population have some type of deficiency. So you can't get enough magnesium. Don't do magnesium oxide. Just write that down. No oxide. I think I have some recommendations in that ebook. I can't remember. But just no oxide, because it has a very poor absorption. All it will do is make you get a bit of diarrhea, really. Yeah. Or you can do like a magnesium spray, Epsom salt bath. Epsom salts are magnesium. Have a bath for 20-30 minutes ideally. If you don't have a bath, fill up a bucket with warm water and a cup of Epsom salts, soak your feet. It'll do the same thing. Yeah. Calming and relaxing the nervous system. Chamomile tea is great. I don't love the taste of chamomile tea personally, but it does work really well to get you to sleep, as long as it's not making you need to pee in the middle of the night.
Right.
Yeah. And there are also there's a plethora of herbs and nutrients that I use in my clinic to aid sleep. But really the number one key is that lifestyle, removing the blue light, making sure you're getting enough sunlight first thing in the morning so that you kickstart your circadian rhythm. Your body will know 12 hours from now I'll make some melatonin and get sleepy. That makes sense.
And your body also converts serotonin to melatonin, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Yeah. So if you're not making enough melatonin, you're not going to make enough serotonin. They're tight. The neurotransmitters, so serotonin, melatonin, GABA, all these neurotransmitters they're so tightly interlinked. So if one's out, others are going to be out. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the insight sitting above all this is it's just a matter of actually implementing and understanding that it is a routine. Because once you start to build some of these things into your sleep routine, then it starts to happen easy,
Yes.
And I know what you're like, Michaela, you're not, sort of timing I've eaten now, or I know I can't sleep until then, and I got to turn this because your house is just set up and your life's set up where all that stuff just happens now.
Totally.
It's a matter of just shifting the habit, doing some of these things and building a habit. So then naturally your sleep starts to improve.
Yeah. And you're talking about routines, aren't you?
Yeah, I talk a bit about that later.
Yeah, cool. So just, and lots of people don't have time, or you're lazy, I'm pretty lazy. I'm a lazy, healthy person. So I want to do things easy as possible. I'm not ashamed of that. But having a quick little morning routine, these are things I got done in the morning, and these are things I do before bed. Everything else is okay then. It's setting you up and it's ending your day. And it is quite easy to slip a few things in, putting glasses on that block out red light. I mean, not attractive, but I'm married, so I don't care. But the greatest thing, yeah, totally.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll keep going because I've got a lot to talk about. So why is a healthy liver so important for weight loss? I want to quickly explain what the liver does so you understand when I reference some of this information. But a liver has 3 main phases of detoxification, okay? So phase 1 is where we consume things. Our liver breaks them down. So if you have any toxins or anything that you've consumed in your body, and many nutrients as well, they're broken down in phase 1 and they become a water-soluble nutrient, a water-soluble compound, sorry. But what happens then is phase 2 is needed to come in and clear out phase 1, those phase 1 compounds that have been created. The problem is the toxins that are detoxified phase 1 become more toxic before they get to phase 2, and they start recirculating around the body. And if phase 2 isn't working properly, they just keep recirculating, causing a lot of health issues. So we look at hormonal imbalances, especially for menopause, but PMS symptoms, so estrogen dominance, a lot of oxidative stress, a lot of inflammation is caused, and it will imbalance all of our hormones. If you have a poor liver function, it will impact your adrenal function, even if you're not stressed. It'll impact your gut health, your immunity, okay? So things like paracetamol and a lot of chemical products like paints and cleaning products, what they do is they speed up phase 1 and they shut down phase 2. So if you have exposure to these chemicals, you're shutting down the good part and you're speeding up the bad part. and it's, you know, creating this thing. So I know I see lots of like skeptics are like, oh, yeah, bodies are made to be function properly. The liver knows how to detox. The liver knows how to detox if you lived on a mountaintop in the middle of nowhere drinking pure spring water and organic food. So our phases of liver are going to be impacted if you live like most of us do, if you're exposed to any kind of chemical. Even the paint on your walls is going to impact it. So when the liver isn't working properly, what happens is phase one's is too quick. Phase two is not quick enough. Things aren't clearing out. Hormones start to imbalance. We get all this inflammation. We start storing more fat. An issue is though, when the liver's not working properly, what happens is our body doesn't let go of fat because we store a lot of toxins in the fat. So the body's like, I want to burn this fat. The liver's like, if you dump all those toxins into my body when you burn that fat, I will not be able to
deal.
You know, manage them, deal with them. And, you know, you might see people get kind of sick or their period symptoms might worsen during weight loss and things like that because their livers aren't working properly. So it will stop you from actually being able to burn fat. The great thing is about the liver, it's the only organ in the body that you could actually cut in half and then regrow to a full size.
But
so
we've been doing that.
You want to have something wrong, it's your liver, because you can do a lot for it. It's just really focusing on loving it, basically, cutting out the alcohol as much as possible. Here's an interesting fact, and this really motivates a lot of my clients that struggle to not drink every night. Drinking alcohol will turn off your fat burning capabilities for 72 hours.
Whoa.
So just remember that.
And it's purely because our body needs to turn it off so it can process the toxins that are in the alcohol.
Exactly, because it takes that long for it to kind of deal with it all. Yeah. Right. So, you know, I mean, I like to drink very occasionally. I don't drink that often, not as much as some people. But obviously, if you're going out and being social, that's okay. But if you're drinking 2 or 3 times a week, it's really going to stop you from being able to lose weight. And it will imbalance your hormones. It will cause a lot of oxidative stress inflammation, unfortunately. I don't want to be the fun police, but yeah.
I think it comes down to what you're committed to, right? I mean, if you're committed to losing weight, well, you know, maybe don't drink as much for a period of time and see how you go and see how you feel. Exactly.
So how can we support healthy liver function? I always avoid paracetamol, so Panadols. You know, painkillers aren't great for us, but if you have a very bad headache and you cannot avoid that headache, you cannot survive if you don't have painkillers. I know a lot of people do. Go for Nurofen. So paracetamol basically is bad for the liver. Nurofen is bad for the microbiome and the gut health. So I feel like you can do, it's a lot easier and the damage is a lot less from Nurofen than it is from paracetamol, the lesser of two evils, depending on what your health condition is, though, that being said. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, if you can't take, if you're allergic to one of them, don't take the other. Never take paracetamol after drinking. It's bad. Very bad.
Interesting.
You want to eat a diet rich in antioxidants. We need those antioxidants to mop up the oxidative stress that's created from phase 1 liver detoxification. Lots of berries are great, olive oil, green leafy vegetables, just a really bright, colourful diet. But berries are your best bet because they have the richest amount of antioxidants among foods. Plenty of fibre. So again, if you're getting a lot of, a diet rich in lots of green leafy vegetables or vegetables in general, you're going to have enough fibre. The fibre acts like a broom to draw all the crap out of the liver in lesser nice terms. You good old lemon juice in warm water with apple cider vinegar. The lemon juice will stimulate bile production, so it'll kickstart the liver for the day. The apple cider vinegar will help that too, and it also has prebiotics in there to feed the gut bacteria that will support liver function. So, a capful of apple cider, a squeeze of lemon juice, warm water first thing in the morning, a great way just to get things going, basically. Yeah. Cutting your alcohol to 1 day a week. Ideally, like every couple of weeks, but if you have to, 1 day a week. Yeah. This is my number one tip, though, for liver function, especially for hormones. In particular, your exogenous estrogen. So the estrogens we get from plastics and chemicals and things like that. This impacts men and women too, yeah? So I know I've seen a few men in my clinic that have started to get quite a bit of fat tissue around their breasts because they have excess estrogen stores. It's all about the liver. The liver is where we clear out those excess endogenous, I should say, not exogenous, endogenous hormones. Yeah. So beetroot, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, sprouts, Brussels sprouts, they are amazing for accelerating phase 2, but especially for the hormone side of things. If you can eat it served every day, even better. So you could have some sauerkraut. That would be good. Some broccoli sauteed in butter, delicious. There's plenty of options. Yeah. And one served every day. Herbal medicine is probably my most favorite thing to support liver function though. So I use liquid herbs in my clinic. The 2 herbs that I love the most are globe artichoke and milk thistle. So globe artichoke helps pull the fat out of the liver. So it's especially beneficial in helping to regulate cholesterol. So I put a lot of my weight loss clients on the globe artichoke because it enhances the fat metabolism side. Milk thistle is an incredible antioxidant herb that is shown in trials to actually stimulate that repair and regrow of liver cells. So we'll use that in a lot of people with serious liver conditions, hepatitis and things like that, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. They're beautiful. You can get them from like a health food shop, but you need to be very careful with liver herbs because if you're on any medication, it will impact how well you absorb them and excrete them out. So I recommend just sticking to seeing a naturopath or a nutritionist, actually a naturopath only because we're the only ones that can prescribe herbs. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so all those things there are going to help speed up phase 2, right? I mean, they support the liver as a whole, but then some of those are also to help with that phase 2.
Yeah. So the antioxidants will stimulate phase 2. Obviously, reducing that consumption of alcohol will help stop that shut off. The liver repairing veggies will stimulate phase 2 and then phase 3 as well. And obviously the herbs that I recommend work on slowing down phase 1 and speeding up phase 2.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then keeping your stress down because that will shut off blood supply to the liver and everything will get really sluggish. Yeah. Do we have any questions?
No questions. Okay, good. Which is good. You've been very thorough.
Okay, good. Because I know we went over last time. I've got a lot of information to share, but I want to make sure we cover everything.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So thyroid, is this making you gain weight? Thyroid health issues are seriously in my health field like an epidemic. Yeah, underactive thyroid especially. So the thyroid, which is in here, you shouldn't be able to really feel much, but you can sometimes I get people with nodules on them. That's an indication that their thyroid isn't working properly. Yeah. The thyroid is a master controller of our metabolism. So how we make energy, how we move, how the circulation in the body happens, how quick we poop, basically, and how well we burn fat. So an under-functioning thyroid can be caused by a lot of issues, mainly nutritional or autoimmune disorder. The reason being is that we need several cofactors to make thyroid hormone to get things moving. And if we have a poor diet or we're stressed, we are going to impact how well we make those thyroid hormones. So do I go, just let me check. Oh yeah, I do. I have thyroids. Okay. I want to tell you about 2 of the types of thyroid disorders though. So you have a general underactive thyroid. That's usually due to an iodine deficiency. Iodine we get it in like seaweed and some seafoods. It's very poor in Australian soil, which means it's then poor in fruit and veggies. Yeah, but it's the number 1 nutrient you need for thyroid hormone production. You also need selenium and zinc as well. So if you're not getting enough of these foods, if you're not eating a zinc-rich diet, a selenium-rich diet, you're not going to make thyroid hormone. Things start to slow down and you get some pretty nasty symptoms. The other reason we get underactive thyroid is an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's, where our immune cells attack the thyroid tissue. Now, that all stems from inflammation in the gut. So any autoimmune person, we want to get off the gluten, get off the dairy, heal the gut wall, reduce the inflammation and calm that immune system down. But I see more of the nutritional deficiencies than I see the Hashimoto's, but it's becoming quite common.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
about that more regularly, and Graves as well.
I'll tell you a quick story. I had when I first opened my clinic a couple of years ago, I had a beautiful lady that came and saw me. She had Hashimoto's. She had a lot of weight to lose. She was very depressed. She was very tired. She was at the point where she would get home from work and just lay down and cry because she was so tired. She didn't have energy to cook, to clean. And she was 45. Her doctor said to her, it's just middle age. This is what you have to deal with. And she just was like, I don't want to live like this the rest of my life. Like, this is, not good. And she came and saw me. We did a thyroid plan for her on Hashimoto's. I put her through a whole bunch of stuff. She's still seeing me now, but she's lost, I think, 25 kilos over about a year period. She got her cholesterol down to normal levels. Her antibodies, so the immune antibodies, are like so low on her blood tests now, and her thyroid hormones are at a normal level. So it's not a life sentence. We did all that with her on her normal doctor's medication, and we did it all. And she's a completely different person now, in 1 year. Well, over a year now. But, yeah, it was a year when I got all those results back. So, yeah. Wow. But these are symptoms of an underactive thyroid. Just let me tell you, though, this isn't – just because you have all these doesn't mean you have underactive thyroid. They're very broad. They can mean a lot of things. But definitely constant fatigue. So really just being tired all the time, and it maybe gets worse in the afternoon, evening. But you just really don't feel great. Depression and low mood, so feeling really flat. You definitely can slip into a bad depression, but just feeling flat and icky and very unmotivated to do anything. A low libido is a very big one because our bodies are like, we don't have the energy to reproduce, so we're not going to encourage you to do anything. I've got the hiccups.
Definitely don't have a child right now.
Yeah, you don't need that. Dry skin is a big one. So dry, flaky skin, not so much itchy. I mean, maybe itchy from the dry, but not like itchy rash. Hair loss is one as well. So clumps coming out in the shower, Obviously, weight gain. Not everyone gains weight, though, but a lot of people really struggle to get the weight off. Constipation is a really big one because obviously all our metabolism, which involves our digestive system, slows down. So if you're not pooping often, you should be having a bowel movement every day at a similar time. And you should be doing, when you see, I don't know if you've ever seen a dog poop and they kind of zoom around the yard, like you should feel like great afterwards. Sore throat is quite common, especially for Hashimoto's people. Sensitivity to cold, so having trouble getting warm. You got to have a hot shower to get warm. You got to put the layers on. Now we're getting colder too. You might notice it. Muscle cramping and aches, foggy brain, and poor memory are all quite common as well. But these are some of the foods that we want to support healthy thyroid function. So regardless of whether you have any of those symptoms, everyone should be focusing on nourishing their thyroid. We want a healthy thyroid. And I can guarantee most people are not getting enough iodine in their food. Yeah. You might just be in the early stages of that nutritional deficiency that's impacting thyroid function. So iodine-rich foods, your seaweed, you can do kelp capsules. I never recommend supplementing with iodine unless you do it with a nutritionist or a naturopath because it can be dangerous. But kelp capsules are a nice way. A little bit of dairy has some, tuna, and eggs as well. So it's mainly your seaweeds and seafoods though. So kelp might be helpful.
Yeah, I actually heard sorry.
No, keep going. You asked me, yeah.
I was just going to say, I heard a little tip a while ago that I think it was a 1:50 ratio of salt water to fresh water. And then if you put that on your veggies that you're growing, that'll help get the iodine levels up.
Yeah, right. Okay, I haven't heard of that. That's cool. Yeah.
That's what
like
I heard.
Salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe because there's iodine in the salt.
Right. In the salt water.
Iodized chemical salt, which is great, but I don't like straight up like sodium chloride. You want to have a natural form with all the other minerals. You need all the other minerals to absorb sodium. So a Himalayan or a sea salt is much better.
Yeah, so so like he was saying, get salt water from the ocean.
From the ocean. Sorry. Yeah.
So then you've got.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I should do that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, or feed your chickens some seaweed. That might Might work. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely.
Don't quote me, but
Yeah.
selenium-rich foods. Okay, so we need zinc and selenium together to make convert the inactive thyroid hormone into the active form that works in the body. You have to have plenty of zinc and plenty of selenium-rich foods. 4 Brazil nuts a day is all you need for the RDI that's going to help convert that T4 to the active T3 hormone. So 4 Brazil nuts every day. Zinc-rich foods every day. Pumpkin seeds are the number one source. So I just sauteing them up in some olive oil, salt and pepper, and dishing them up into snacks, pop them on salads, have them raw, whatever. Obviously shellfish, 4 oysters will give you enough zinc for the day as well. And eggs are always great too.
Yeah.
So they're the 3 things that you need to do to support your thyroid health. I don't have time to go into it today, but if you've got Hashimoto's on the autoimmune side, you've really got to look at the gut health and supporting that side of things as well.
Yeah, we talked about that in our webinar a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Good info in that one.
We did, yeah. So, very important. Gut health is the key to all good health too, but it's a whole other thing. We'll do another one.
Yeah, gut health. Love it.
Probably need 2 sessions though. But you can, I recommend either seeing if you are concerned about underactive thyroid or Hashimoto's, seeing a naturopath that has experience in this, because as naturopaths, a lot of people specialize in different things, or an integrative doctor. But I definitely recommend going the holistic route because of what I've seen from my colleagues, and so many women and men have such great results.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so we're getting onto insulin resistance. I told you guys at the start, this is one of the things that I had wrong with me, as well as hypothyroidism, actually, due to a nutritional deficiency. Insulin resistance is what was the main thing stopping me from losing weight. So I will tell you about some of the symptoms and things, but insulin is basically a hormone that's produced by the pancreas when we eat food, so especially carbs. And when we break down the food and we get glucose into our bloodstream, the insulin is released and it grabs onto that glucose and takes it into the liver. But what happens is every time we eat carby foods, if you're eating carby foods all day, or you have a very poor, not even a poor diet, because I did it eating a lot of grains and things. So if it's just a very high carb diet that your body can't cope with, you're constantly having to release cortisol into the bloodstream, which means that our body becomes used to it and resistance to that insulin. So we have to keep making more and more and more to clear the glucose out of the blood into the liver. Because if you don't clear the glucose out, what happens is it turns into diabetes. So insulin resistance is also called pre-diabetes, basically. And eventually insulin resistance will lead to diabetes if you don't sort it out. Yeah. So it's a fat storing hormone. So as soon as you have a surge of cortisol, your body goes, okay, we're holding on to all this fat. So the more insulin you have, the more fat you're going to store, and your body is not going to let go of it. So you can work out like I did for hours, eating a lentil-rich brown rice, quinoa, like all these healthy things, but it wasn't right for my body. And I worked out for hours, had green smoothies, all the things, couldn't get the weight off. I was getting those symptoms like, when you get really hangry. So if I hadn't eaten for 2 hours and my husband breathed the wrong way, I would be ready to rip his face off. So it's because it's that dramatic drop in your blood sugar all the time. So yeah, it's not good. So what happens is, you eat bad carbs, you make insulin, those cells resist the insulin, your sugar stores it as fat, and you feel tired and hungry. So you eat more carbs to give you a bit of energy, and it's just this vicious cycle. But diet isn't the only thing. So chronic stress can trigger insulin because it disrupts the cortisol. Poor sleep, inflammation, they can all cause insulin resistance. It does lead to also like fatty liver or metabolic syndrome as well, which is what very similar symptoms, but pre-diabetes. So some of the symptoms of insulin resistance, this is more common than people realize. And I'll tell you some tests you can get done to find out. But weight gain all over, but especially around that midsection and love handles and difficulty losing weight. I can usually, when I look at people, because I've had so much experience in this side of things, and I can go, you probably have insulin resistance, because you can kind of tell by their body shape and the way they're storing fat.
Interesting. Yeah.
Fatigue is a big one too, and you only get a surge of energy after you eat. And you really will get that afternoon energy crash. dizziness, especially if you're bending over or you haven't eaten. Like I said, that hangry feeling where you're just beside yourself, you need to eat, Frequent urination and excessive thirst. I find these happen more as you get closer to the diabetes side.
Yeah.
High blood pressure, high cholesterol. Lots of people might not have symptoms. Like if you're not very aware of what's going on in your body, you might just be so busy you don't even know you're tired. You don't even notice these things. So you can get your fasting blood glucose and fasting insulin bloods done, and that will tell you where you're at with your bloods, with your glucose and your insulin. You need to fast for 12 hours. It is a very complex disorder though. I recommend you see a practitioner to address this, but there are some things you can start doing with insulin resistance, but you want to start ASAP. So if you feel like you have some of these symptoms, just start doing some things to prevent diabetes. So following a lower carb, low GI style diet, like it doesn't have to be super low carb, but look, anyone that comes to me in my clinic will be put on a lower carb diet if they have insulin resistance. You're removing all processed carbohydrates and white carbohydrates. You want to make sure, again, and I'll probably repeat this a few times, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant-rich foods, they're needed in insulin resistance. So low sugar fruits like berries are great because they're very low in sugar, so they won't impact your insulin. Anti-inflammatory foods, so lots of healthy fats. So again, not going to impact your blood sugar. Avocados, nuts, olive oil, olives are great, those kind of things. Avoiding things like protein shakes, juices, and smoothies. The protein shakes, because if you're sculling that back in a couple of minutes, you'll still get a surge of insulin. So if you're going to have a protein shake, you want to sip it over about a 20 to 30 minute period. But juices and smoothies, so even greens, like I was having a green smoothie every morning on the train when I was going to uni, sculling it back, and that was just peaking my blood sugar like crazy and my insulin. So whilst they are amazing if you're in a state that you can have them, if you are in this state of insulin resistance, you don't want green smoothies, juices, any of that. Drinking
anything that's like processed and like condensed sugars and things, they're just
exactly. Fully. Obviously drinking plenty of water, 3 liters is ideal. Cinnamon is really good. Adding cinnamon to all your meals where possible actually improves insulin sensitivity. So it'll help start working straight away. Even some cinnamon in some hot water. Just make sure it's not like cinnamon with sugar in it, because some of those have like, cinnamon sugar things. Yeah. Making sure you're getting enough vitamin D, so plenty of sunshine. We need that to regulate our insulin and our blood sugar. Resistance training is like one of the number one things. So weight training, Pilates, yoga, anything that's moving the muscles, because you're going to burn through the glucose in your body a lot quicker and keep that insulin down. But yeah, like I said, blood tests are recommended. Fasted blood glucose, fasted insulin, 12 hours.
Which is typically done in the morning, right?
Yeah, definitely. The problem with you want to do it like at least 2 or 3 hours after waking up, because you'll get a surge of cortisol in the morning. It can disturb the insulin level that isn't a real insulin level, if that makes sense. So yeah, like if you woke up at 7, if you get it by 9 or 10, you'd be fine.
Yeah, cool. Hey, we had a question from Rosalind. What do you suggest for a slow digestive system?
A slow digestive system, you want to apple cider vinegar and warm water with lemon juice before each meal, about 30 minutes before each meal would be ideal, because what's happening is you're not producing enough bile that starts breaking, and stomach acid that starts breaking down the food and getting it going. So you need to naturally stimulate that. That would be good. Chewing really slowly is great. There's some licorice tea would be good as well, just for moving things along. Slippery elm powder could help as well. But that would be, or some bone broth. That would be the extent of my advice about understanding your whole body. But yeah, definitely warm water with the apple cider vinegar and the lemon juice before each meal, definitely, and chewing slowly. Plenty of water after.
Beautiful. Yeah. I would also add hydrating, like eating hydrating foods too, being conscious of food that takes water from the system. Like a packet of corn chips is not going to help make the digestive system move.
100%. Yeah. I'm more obviously a more natural diet. Less processed food is going to make a difference too.
Beautiful.
And then, like gluten or dairy might cause it as well, but we won't go into that.
Cool.
So I wanted to talk about what is the right diet for me, because, there's so many different diets, especially if you're on social media. Everyone's like, raving about the new diet. That's all the rage. And, it can be confusing because there's no one diet that fits all. For me, the number one rule though is the 80-20 rule. So you're good 80% of the time, you can have 20% bad, which I equate to like 1 or 2 meals a week that are naughty. That way you have the balance of really nourishing and repairing your body, and you get to nourish and repair your soul when you sit down with Ben and Jerry's.
Right.
And then you get
watching Downton Abbey.
Exactly. And I mean, some people might want to be healthy 100% of the time, and that's okay. But I think when you do live this way, it gets rid of the guilt side of living a healthy lifestyle, which when we feel guilty, we self-sabotage and we go into these yo-yo diet frame of mind, Oh, I ate McDonald's last night. Well, screw it then. I'm not going back on my diet. I'm going to eat crap for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll get back on and I'll feel guilty again.
Right.
Whereas if you go, tonight was my bad night, I'm eating this tonight. I ate that last night, but I'm going to be healthy today and love my body today. Yeah.
And I know I've got another cheat meal in 4 days' time.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go binge and eat all the things now. Yeah. I've got one soon.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are the different types of diets I wanted to talk about just to give you guys an understanding. You've got the paleo diet. We probably hear about this all the time. It's a very natural way of eating and avoids processed foods. And it's like a diet rich in whole foods in their most natural form. It's like, honestly, it is the most ideal way to eat. And when you see all the different recipe books and things out there, there's lots of yummy food you can eat without, feeling deprived. It's avoiding all processed foods though, which isn't realistic for everyone. Sometimes we need to have, you want a sandwich or something like that. It can be so some of the cons are it can be time consuming making foods from scratch. It can still be high in carbs and impact insulin though. If you're eating a lot of sweet potato and, like they have like a lot of root vegetables and things, that can impact that for sure. And you need to make sure you're eating enough vegetables. It doesn't contain any dairy or grain. So this can be beneficial for some people and it can be detrimental to others. So again, it depends on who you are as a person. The ketogenic diet, I've done this one in the past. I really like it. I use it in a lot of my insulin people, or they have exceptional issues losing weight or mental health issues. It can work really well. It can be either disgustingly unhealthy because people could eat McDonald's 3 meals a day and be ketogenic, or it can be pretty healthy, but it's very time consuming. It's, preparing food and making sure that you're getting the right amount of macros. It can be really easy to go over your carbs. If you have any liver issues at all, then you need to sort out your liver first before you do ketogenic diet. So I'm on a few ketogenic Facebook pages and I cringe at some of the advice that people get because I don't give advice on pages because that's not legally safe. But the advice and the ways that people are doing it and the confusion, it's very concerning. So if you do want to do a ketogenic diet, I would see someone. There's a Low Carb Down Under, I think, is a website, and it has a big long list of doctors and nutritionists that do the ketogenic diet. I'm on there, but you can find someone that does it properly. Mediterranean diet, that's the most studied diet on the planet. It's classed as the healthiest diet on the planet. It's anti-inflammatory. It's very similar to paleo, except it does include grains such as wheat and rice. It's probably the easiest, most realistic diet to eat. Focuses on plenty of veg and fish and healthy fats. It's very low in red meat and processed meat. So realistically, the real Mediterranean diet, they probably eat red meat twice a month. But if you're making an altered kind of Mediterranean diet, maybe like twice a week, I guess. It does recommend gluten. So if you have an autoimmune disorder, skin rashes, depression or anxiety, or any gut health issues and you don't want to have the gluten side of it, it's not ideal if you don't like seafood because there's a lot of fish in there. But there's a lot of olive oil. They have a really holistic focus on being around people while you eat, being physically active, socializing as well. It's good for older people, I think, because they can have their glass of red wine. They can kind of, have some cheeses and things. Like my nan, she would never give up some of these things. So she can kind of fit the good things in with the bad.
Yeah, I think I think the important thing to note there is, you look at somewhere like Icaria in Greece, where they obviously eat the Mediterranean diet. It's always coming from a whole food perspective. They're not like, if they eat some bread, they're kind of making it themselves, right? And their food is kind of simple in a sense. I'm thinking Italian, I'm thinking Greek food, and so there's not much processing going on, which I think is an important thing to note overall. Same with paleo and even with ketogenic. Like, there's not a lot of processing happening there, and I think that's a sort of important part to a diet working for people.
I think so. I think, if they took away a lot of the stuff for a lot of these diets, it'd be the removal of the processed food is what was the benefit.
Yeah.
Totally.
The whole foods. Yeah.
But again, 80-20 rule. So, and then you're vegetarian. So it can be very, very healthy, or it can be very unhealthy if it's not monitored properly. I've had quite a few vegetarians that come into my clinic and they're very sick and very unhealthy because they haven't been doing it the right way. So vegetarian, though, has a lot of benefits to cardiovascular health and anti-aging as well. But it's got to be done in a way that you're meeting all your nutrients. So making sure that you're tracking what you're eating to start with, so you can become intuitive and then know what you're eating. But I'll put like my serious cardiovascular people on one of these. Yeah,
cool.
And then gluten-free. So there's been recent studies that have shown that 80% of the population have an immune reaction to gluten. So an immune reaction in our gut wall that opens up the fingers in the gut wall and allows all sorts of crap into the bloodstream, causing immune reactions, our immunity attacking our thyroid and things like that, impacting brain health, so many things. So it's, for 80% of the population, they might need to be gluten-free. But the problem with gluten-free is it can be so unhealthy due to the marketing of gluten-free products. I know there was a big news story a couple of years ago about how gluten-free diets cause diabetes. Because people were going out and buying gluten-free donuts and gluten-free bread and gluten-free cakes and all these gluten-free products that were just gluten-free. They were still terrible. Yeah. And eating them all thinking, I'm gluten-free, I'm healthy. No, so you've got to be very careful of the marketing. It's scurrilous, the things I've seen that have marketed. I've seen gluten-free on skincare products.
Yeah. I think it's a similar thing that happens with vegan products now,
Yes.
Like, you can be a packet vegan person and you can be really not well because you're just eating stodge all the time.
Exactly.
Similar thing here. When I was in Italy a couple of years ago, there was gluten-free and there were vegan gluten-free cornetto ice creams.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, people are eating this probably thinking they're doing themselves a service,
Yeah.
Like, it's gluten-free and it's vegan. Cool. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll eat all them. That happened to like Oreos apparently vegan. So you're like, well, I'll eat Oreos then because they're vegan,
Yeah.
Gluten. I'm going to talk to you guys about keeping a diet diary though, and like seeing if you're gluten-free, because if you have an immune reaction to gluten, you don't want to be eating gluten. I have an immune reaction, but I will eat gluten on my cheat day. Yeah. I will eat a big bowl of pasta and I'm okay. I'm not, I don't feel amazing the next day, but I like it and I'm going to do it. But I give my gut a chance to heal from the inflammation that is caused after eating that. So yeah, it can be restrictive. I don't think it is though. Like I'm very biased now. I found gluten-free of all the things I've ever tried to be the easiest thing to implement.
I agree.
As far as an 80-20 lifestyle goes. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So what is the right diet for you? It's best to become in tune with your body. So only you know what is right for your body. No one can tell you, unless we do blood tests, obviously. But I want you guys, if you are wanting to know what the right diet is, keep a diet diary. After each meal, I want you to write down the meal. I want you to monitor how you feel physically and mentally throughout the day. If you get any energy slumps, especially after eating, if you get any bloating or gas, or what your bowel movements are like, if you have any undigested particles in your stools. So you become very familiar with your poop. So it tells us a lot about what we're eating and what's doing to our body, especially energy and mood as well, though. And then kind of, you can take notes and see okay, that might be the thing, like maybe if I eat garlic, it gives me really bad guts. So we might need to cut that out for a bit. Or I get a bit of diarrhea when I have dairy the night before, I wake up and I'm on the toilet. So that could be a sign that you should probably eliminate those things. But then you can eliminate certain foods for about 3 or 4 days, and it will tell you. After 4 days, you will know if you should be eating that food or not. You'll either feel really good or you'll feel the same. Yeah. And you can always combine these diet principles to something that suits your family and your lifestyle. Like I switch in and out of a whole bunch of them, and it works for me. I'm super healthy. I'm happy. And I love food. So, yeah. Or you can see a naturopath or a nutritionist. You can come and see me. I do online consults, and we determine what the right diet is for you. But should you cut out the gluten? These are some of the symptoms of gluten intolerance. They're very similar for dairy: headache, migraine, chronic fatigue, joint pain and swelling, bloating pain, stabbing pains and nausea, constipation, diarrhea, autoimmune disorders. Always remove the gluten. Infertility, acne, eczema, any skin conditions too are usually to gluten. And then should you cut out dairy? Dairy's similar. A lot of people have a lactose intolerance. So the post-nasal drop or drip, that dripping down the back of the throat, you probably want to remove dairy. Frequent hay fever, frequent blocks, nose or sinus, itchy ears, mucus in the throat, mucus in your stool, acne. If you've got teenage kids with acne, cut out the dairy. Skin rashes, headaches, diarrhea are all signs you might want to, or just do 5 or 6 days, of no dairy and see how you feel. Now I want to get onto some another interesting topic, and this is the thing that always blows people's minds. Normally when I do this talk in real life, I have like sugar cubes and things. It's pretty cool, but I don't. But there's hidden sugars everywhere, and they may be the reason you aren't losing weight, because they might be impacting your insulin or more calories and your ability to burn fat. These are some of them. You may already know them, but your low-fat yogurts are usually pumped full of sugar to make up for the flavour. Spaghetti sauces are terrible. I've only found one called Providor. I think it's by Legos. It's the only one I found that wasn't too high in sugar. Chocolate milk, granola, even your organic home-baked granolas and things, ridiculously high in sugar. Most protein bars and protein balls are terrible in sugar content. Dried fruit, sauces, salad dressing, and sausages, surprisingly. Pump the sausages full of sugar. Bizarre. I'm going to show you some though. Yeah. How many teaspoons of sugar in a day should you have? So the recommended intake of additional sugar on top of if you ate a diet that was not processed, so just your fruits, your 2 serves of fruit, however many cups of veggies you have, your meat and your whole grains, 6 teaspoons extra you can have in processed foods or whatever. Okay. 25 grams, 6 teaspoons a day. It's not much. I want to show you some of the foods that are going to push you over over 6 teaspoons, and that's going to impact your insulin. Yeah. Tomato sauce and barbecue sauce. So a single tablespoon of tomato sauce has 1 teaspoon of sugar. So you have 1 tablespoon, you're down to 5 teaspoons you have left.
It's like 3 chips worth.
Exactly. But a single tablespoon of barbecue sauce contains 2 teaspoons of sugar. Right. Do you know what I mean? So then you're down to 4 teaspoons of sugar left. It's a lot. And you're never measuring out how much sauce.
Right.
You're squirting it all over.
Yeah.
If it wants to move for me. Apple juice. Oh, where we go. There. Apple juice poppers. You might have some in the fridge because they're really convenient. Give them to your kids. 7 teaspoons of sugar in 1 popper. That's just like a diabetic IV. Yeah.
Hold on a second here. Am I reading that correctly? Boost juice is 22 teaspoons.
So the large Boost juice blueberry smoothie in the big one, the biggest size, 22 teaspoons of sugar. So you go to the gym, you have a great workout, and you're like, I'm just going to stop at the supermarket, get some things. I'll grab a smoothie while I'm there because it's healthy. You could just have a large Coke from Macca's. I mean, obviously you're getting some nutrients in there, but I don't think the nutrients outweigh the amount of sugar that's in there.
Absolutely not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And most of them are like that because they actually use the apple juice like that in a big tub you know, and orange juice, and they use all that stuff in it.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So greenwashing, that we call it, you know, they make it seem like it's a healthy thing.
Right.
Cappuccino, this is the biggest cause of when I have clients are like, well, I've been following your plan, but I'm just not seeing results. And I say, well, have you had any coffee? Well, I get 2 a day. I get 2 cappuccinos a day. So one on a standard little mug cappuccino is 12 teaspoons of sugar. That's from the milk. Milk is very high in sugar, unfortunately. So when you see how they make a coffee, it's about that much coffee and the rest is milk. You know, that's double your amount. I love a cappuccino. I love a coffee. What I recommend my clients do is get a piccolo. So it's like a little mini one. It has about 4 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
So it's a better alternative. Yeah. Or do black coffee and then ask them if you can add the milk yourself. They usually do. They might look at you like you're a pain in the bum, but you'll get used to it. Coconut water is another one that is, coconut water is great for hydrating, especially if it's really hot out. It's really rich in electrolytes. But a small bottle contains 3 teaspoons. So that's half your daily intake. And that'll peak your insulin like nothing. So again, you know, if you're adding that to a protein shake or a smoothie and then adding everything else on top, it's going to really add up.
Yeah. And
this is if you're worried about weight, you know, or your insulin. So obviously if you're at a healthy weight and you're training, you're doing all these things, you can have these things and you're okay. Yeah. Again, you can have it as a cheat day.
Yeah. Cappuccino.
And then you've got like protein balls. So your protein balls, these are cheeky, these ones, but like 13 grams of sugar.
It's ridiculous. It's like, how do they even fit 13 grams of sugar in those things? Yeah. It's so small.
They put like, you know, the dates and things in them, which unfortunately dried fruit is very high in sugar because it has no water, it's just sugar. Yeah. So yeah, you go, you know, again, you go to the gym, you're like, I've got this bounce ball in my handbag, I'm going to eat that after because I went to the gym and you have protein after.
Right.
It's adding that to it. So all these little things add up, you know. And they may be the thing that just pushes you over the edge. Or like your flavored Greek yogurt. Like I like Chobani Greek yogurt. Yeah. But this like flip one here, it's like a flavored strawberry shortcake. Right. 17 grams of sugar, 4 teaspoons of sugar in one of them. Again, you think you're being healthy, reasonably healthy. So much sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, really riles me up.
Yeah, I mean, we've been marketed to and you know, we don't know what we're really consuming, I think.
Yeah.
And then you make these mistakes, you don't even know you're making mistakes. Or in these cases, like with the boost juice, you think you're doing a good job.
Yeah. And like, you know, the way they put labeling on, even my husband's fallen for, like they might put something on the label that says healthy. So all you're looking at is you're glancing over, you're like, that one sounds good. Because they put all, you know, like organic or
right.
Whatever, but you read it and you're like, okay, this is terrible. Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm glad you covered that. It's good.
Yes. And that's me.
Thank you.
No worries.
That was awesome.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I quickly just run to the bathroom?
Go for it.
Sorry, guys. I know it's not very professional, but I've been drinking a lot of tea.
If you stop sharing, then I can start.
Yes. Okay. I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I've got the floor with you all now. I hope you're enjoying the webinar. Michaela's info is so good. I've made a bunch of notes here. I hope you've all done the same. I am going to share my screen and we can start to talk about some fundamentals and some sauna. And then it'll be time for dinner, I think, for all of us. I really appreciate everyone who's chimed in and who has been staying with us because there's a lot of really good info, but there's a lot to get through. So nonetheless, I am going to share my screen. Here we go. Here we go. Play.
All right, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I've shared my screen. Can everyone see that? Let me just.
Yeah, I've got one.
There. Okay. Cool. So thank you again, Michaela. That was awesome. I'm just going to sort of sprinkle on top of everything that you just said. I always like looking at everything from really high level, and all the things that you were just talking about and that we were talking about earlier. Like the main thing that we need to remember is to meet the body's needs. and address the fundamentals. I've got the fundamentals written here. We spoke about them the other day, making sure that there is a focus for sleep each day, that we are focused on what we're putting in terms of food, that we're conscious of how hydrated we're staying, the air that we're breathing, is it air conditioned? Are we getting sunshine? Are we doing things that we enjoy? Are we being part of and adding to relationships, not relationships? Are we moving and exercising daily, strength exercising, those kind of things? And I snuck sauna in there because I think that is a really important fundamental. And they're fundamentals for a reason, because if we actually address each of these each day, and we've thought about it enough and we've implemented something into our routine, that means we're looking after these areas of our life, then we're going to be experiencing a level of vitality that we perhaps haven't in the past. And from my experience, even when I started to address these fundamentals in my life, then all of a sudden my health just started to change. And now it's why these are my focus every day. That's why I have a morning routine, an evening routine. I'm always focusing on movement and hydration, making sure that I'm not breathing in chemicals all the time and saunaing regularly. And through doing that, now I'm experiencing a level of vitality that I haven't before. And so I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's really important. And the main thing then is to actually let the rubber hit the road. So I just wanted to, I just did a quick overview of like a morning and a daytime and an evening kind of routine to make sure that we actually are addressing these fundamentals. Because like we saw, if we're not sleeping well and we're stressed and we're putting bad food in, it's going to be hard to keep the weight off, and it's just going to be hard to thrive. And so the important thing that I've learned is, although we understand all this information, we actually need to like implement it, you know? So I hope some of you can actually think, oh, well, maybe tomorrow I'll start to do that, or I'll do that a little bit differently. Because it's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to like, okay, well, what are you currently doing in your life, and how can we get some of this focus into the day to day? And for me, like making sure I'm addressing my fundamentals is my focus every day, all the time. You know, like people at work, they'll tease me because like today I was sitting out in the car park. We're in Melbourne. It's not sunny very often at this time of year, and the sun was out. So I took my laptop outside and I had some grapes, which were my lunch. And I sat in the car park where there's just cars everywhere. And I took my shirt off and I was on the laptop and I was doing work, and I'm getting sunshine, I'm getting fresh air, and I'm eating fruit, you know, because I was conscious I'm going to go and address some of these fundamentals whilst I'm working. And so having that frame of mind, like having your health at the top of the priority list, having you at the top of the priority list, it just shifts everything. So anyway, I'm on the high horse about the fundamentals, but they're fundamentals for a reason. So a typical morning routine for myself at the moment is wake up and I'll try and do some meditation. Now that might be like 5 minutes of just gratitude. I'll write down 5 things in my journal that I'm grateful for that day. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It can just be, I'm grateful for these bed sheets because they're keeping me warm. But it could also be, I'm grateful for the beautiful connection I have with my partner, right? And just doing that for 5 minutes can immediately reframes your day about how you're going to start your day. So I really like to do that. It also helps reduce stress, right? We know that we're peaking that cortisol in the morning. So let's just start the day on the right foot. Drinking water right away. As soon as I get up, I'm getting some water in, just to start to get the body's systems turning on. All right. Again, hydration's a fundamental. So let's start with that. And then I like to get up and I like to go for a walk or a run. I just did 30 days on water only. So I'm not running too much whilst I still build my strength, but I'm walking. All right. And by walking, what fundamentals am I addressing? I'm getting the air in, I'm getting the circulation moving, I'm getting some exercise happening. Maybe I'll do a little bit of strength work at the end of that. Okay. So I'm addressing a few things there. And then I've been jumping in the sauna. Like this morning I was in there, I went for a walk, jumped in the sauna. And again, when we're in the sauna, now we're starting to sweat. So we're really getting the cardiovascular system working. We're getting the oxygen in, oxygen-rich blood into the joints, into the muscles. we're also hydrating in the sauna. So we're addressing the fundamental again. Maybe you meditate in there. Maybe you just de-stress, right? So all of a sudden, by the time I've gotten to like 8 in the morning, I've really addressed a lot of these fundamentals already. I've had some time for myself. I've hydrated, I've oxygenated, all these things. And then I'm jumping in the cold shower and I'm just energizing. And now I'm feeling awake and alive. It's, 7:45 and I can go about my day, or, maybe I'll have breakfast and head on into work. And so for me, the morning is so important, just to have a little routine around those things. Because then if nothing else goes well that day, which can happen, right? Then at least you've had time for you and you've addressed some of these things, which are really, really important. And that happens a lot sometimes. I go into work and I'm in air conditioning all day and it's stressful and blah, blah, blah. But at least I've had like a few hours in the morning where I've done a few of these things.
It's like your insurance policy.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Exactly. And the mornings when I don't use my insurance policy, then life just happens and the day gets away from you. And then all of a sudden it's 8 o'clock at night and you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed, and I haven't done anything for myself today. And then the whole self-talk starts, and it's just critical for me to get my mornings right. So that's a good place to start. Now, I'm not drinking coffee at the moment, but then maybe go and have a coffee, nice espresso or a long black, like you said, add a little bit of milk, not because we want 1,000 bits of sugar coming in. And then that I was doing my day like that for a long time. And then starting to be conscious of, okay, so what am I doing throughout the day? Always having water with me, pre-prepping my food so you don't go hungry and start to make bad choices. I think we've all been guilty of that one. Going outside and walking in the fresh air, getting some sunshine. Another thing you can be conscious of in the morning routine is getting some sunshine on your eyelids and on your skin. It's going to help set up that circadian rhythm that you were talking about earlier, Michaela. So just being conscious of these fundamentals throughout the day. Have I been getting my fresh air? Have I been hydrating? Am I putting the right foods in? All right. And then I mentioned the coffee because, okay, do I want to have a coffee after lunch, even though I'm getting that slump, right? Because then now what we're starting to do in the middle of the day is going to have an effect on how we set up our evening for sleep, right? And so being conscious of these things, like any stimulants are going to have an impact. And so that's why I mentioned not having any coffee after 10. There's a bit of a half-life with coffee for about 8 hours in the system, in a well-functioning system, which I don't know who has one of those nowadays. And so then it moves into the evening routine where for me, and like we were saying earlier, it's just part of my routine now, but being conscious of looking at screens for a long time. I think it's 1 hour of screen usage delays the release of melatonin for 3 hours. Yeah. And so like right now they're not the best, they're not the really ugly, but better orange, blue blockers. But at least there's something happening here whilst I'm staring at this screen for an hour and a half. I certainly know after this webinar, I'm not going to go down and turn the TV on. Like I've had enough of screens for the evening. Yeah. So turn screens off early if you can. Obviously, we might be watching some Downton Abbey to reduce that stress. Get some blue blockers and just be conscious of it. Start to be conscious of, I actually do look at my screen a lot, because I think a lot of people don't realize how much they're using screens in the evening. Begin speaking more quietly after the sauna sets. That's totally a typo. What I was trying to say there was begin speaking more quietly in the evening. After the sun sets, that should say.
Sauna on your mind.
Yeah, because those things have an impact on our nervous system too. I did a podcast a while ago with a sleep scientist, and she said people often overlook the importance of just being more quiet at night. We don't need to be. I live in an Italian household, and it's like dinner time, energy. We're talking, we're doing. It's like whoa, we can calm down. We can still have beautiful conversation, but we can talk a bit more softly, and that's also going to help reduce cortisol levels and start to tell the body, let's relax. We don't need to be having any arguments. If we are having an argument, let's try and talk nicely and calmly. And so being conscious of just general noise in the evening, be conscious of light as well, right? Turn a lot of the lights off, replace them with candles or salt lamps or red light globes like you spoke about. No alcohol, obviously that's going to have a negative effect on our sleep as well. And so again, being conscious of the fundamentals, have we been hydrating throughout the day? We don't want to hydrate too late because then we're going to be waking up in the evening. Making sure when we are sleeping, we've got some fresh air in the room. It's not aircon or like window closed all throughout the night. That might cause some arguments with your partner, but try and have some fresh air if you can. And yeah,
that one's really important.
Hey,
I think that's really important, having the fresh air, like having it cracked open even a little bit.
Yeah,
always. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the bronchioles in our lungs really open up in the evening to help clear things out through the respiratory system, and having some clean air coming in is really, really important. And I actually find I sleep better and deeper if I have the window open. If it's cold, like it is at the moment, we've got an extra doona on, and that's cool, you know.
And you sleep better in a cooler room.
Right.
You know, like you do sleep better in a cooler room. So
yeah, absolutely. So so that's kind of those are the things that I'm doing, and the reason I spoke about that is because for me that's my focus. You know, like I'm about to go downstairs and have a beautiful salad for dinner, and when we go down there, I'm going to be talking quietly, and like people know that we don't need to have all the lights on in the house now, and that's great, you know, and that's just how I need to live my life, because I know I'm setting myself up for a good sleep, which means then I'm waking up energized to do my morning routine, which means I'm adding value to people during the daytime because I've been looking after myself, and I can come from a place of fullness and love and not lack. And then that leads into me looking after myself tomorrow night, which leads into the morning after. You know, it all kind of flows on. So having an understanding of these fundamentals, and they're simple ones, making sure we're moving, hydrating, getting air, sweating as well. So all these things. I hope that's somewhat helpful for some people. There's a photo of salad that I made the other day. Just because it looks delicious. Moving on. So people were asking, obviously we're talking about weight loss tonight. And actually just back on the fundamentals for a moment. If you address those fundamentals, like we said, what we'll find is things like we'll find our body's balance. We will lose some of that weight, right? Or we will start to have more energy. You know, when we address those fundamentals, we find like a nice homeostasis, and our body looks after a lot of things for us.
Yeah.
Mention that.
I quickly mentioned Rosalind had wrote, I live in a household that is not on the same page. So,
okay.
You know, yeah. What do you have to say?
Did she say anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. So household not on the same page. In that case, from my experience, I would always just like focus on what I can do to look after me. Now that may be hard if there's 35 TVs going on in the house and everyone's on an iPad and really noisy in the nighttime, or whatever it is in the morning. I'm not sure about that particular case. I would just try and focus on do whatever I can do to look after myself, and try and implement little things that you can do, and try. And it's hard, you know, but trying to get people to understand, like, you may not get it, but this is what I need to do to be able to look after me. And it can be hard. I don't really know what else to say about that one, because sometimes I can be a bit sort of pushy as well, like with my family, and say, well, like, come on. But trying not to come from that lack place, and just, hey, like, you know, I'm trying to support my health and wellness as best as possible.
So she just wrote, then you get
respect that and understand that. You know?
She wrote, then you get accused of being selfish. Well, you wanting to look after your health is not selfish, and that's on them for calling you selfish. So you don't take their feelings on board. But, you know, like if everyone's watching TV, well, you can get blue light blocker glasses and wear them. So you're not going to be affected at all by the blue light. You can go to bed earlier than everyone else and read a book and have a quiet time yourself and set up a routine. And honestly, screw anyone that says it's being selfish, because it's not. And that's not fair. So, you know, I don't know if you're a mother, or I don't know anything about you, but you are in charge of your life, and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, totally.
And I do whatever they want, but you can still do whatever you want, you know?
100%. And whenever anyone's pointing the finger, there's always three fingers pointing back at them, right? So
Exactly.
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So moving on
Sorry.
to this, no. I'm glad we answered the question. So super sauna session for weight loss. In terms of sauna, when we're getting in there and we want to optimize the session for weight loss, or any session, in fact, we've got to think about it in terms of work on the body, right? When I'm in there at 45 degrees, my body is not working as hard as when I'm in there at 65 degrees.
Yeah.
And anyone who doesn't get that, have a sauna at the two different temperatures and then chat, right? And so in terms of a weight loss session, we want to be working the body a little bit more than normal. We want to be conscious that for some of us, that could be a lot of extra work, and therefore we don't want to go in there as long, provided if we are in tune with our body, then we can sort of work with that. But typically I recommend 5 degrees hotter than normal, 5 minutes shorter than normal, because we're going to be working our body harder for that session.
Can I ask you, what is the, like, 5 degrees hotter than normal, 5 minutes shorter, but what is like the ideal temperature for if you want to do weight loss with the sauna?
Well, again, it's about work on the body, right? Because everyone's body is different. Now, typically I'd say if you want to do a weight loss session, you want to go above 55 degrees.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But again, like I've had sauna sessions with people who are in there at 55 and they're like, oh man, like how much longer have we got?
Yeah.
You know, whereas, you know, I can sit there at 55 comfortably and meditate with my eyes closed and my body's not doing much, you know. Yeah. So that's why I just say like typically 5 degrees hotter than what you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
There is a lot of science about going really hot, like 70 degrees and natural human growth hormone and all those kind of things. But I'm always conscious about like 70 degrees is extreme.
Yeah.
And we don't need to go there to get the cardiovascular system working the way that we want.
Yeah.
Right? And to really get some of those calories burning and those kind of things. So making sure we're hydrated, exercise 20 to 30 minutes before you get in there. So now all of a sudden we've got this work period of like up to an hour potentially. If we're exercising beforehand, we've already got a bit of a sweat happening. That's great. We jump in the sauna. It's really hot, 60 degrees, 55 degrees, whatever it is for you, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in the sauna. If you can, I don't know if I mentioned it here yet, jumping out into a cold shower helps promote thermogenesis in our brown fat stores and can help assimilate fat as well. And it's also that shock as well from hot to cold, which really gets our body stimulated.
How long should you be in the cold shower for, do you think?
The longer the better.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd want to stay in there for a minute if possible. Okay. Yeah.
If I could do 30 seconds. That's how much.
I mean, that's still pretty good. If you could do that twice, that would actually be amazing. Like you could do, I know you like it hot, so you could do 20 minutes in the sauna, real hot, and then 30 seconds in the shower, and then you could do another 15 in the sauna, and then another 30 seconds in the shower.
That's a cool idea.
That's really going to get you pumping, and you're going to feel energized after that. Like you will be awake. So
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, practice some box breathing in the sauna as well. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out, 5 seconds hold, just to help regulate that oxygen coming into the body during a hot session. Yeah. I mentioned
Rooster throat, what's the 5 second box breathing? Can you just explain that?
Yep. So that's, what I was just talking about. So it's like a 5 second count to inhale through the nose and then hold for 5 seconds at the top and then exhale for 5 seconds and then hold for 5 seconds at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then repeat that.
Easy.
Right? Yeah. So it's nice and simple. It's just a good way. That's also a good way at reducing cortisol as well. If you do that over a period of time, it's a good way to get your body into a parasympathetic nervous system.
And do that in the sauna.
Yeah. Just because when we're going hot, sometimes we forget to breathe, and it's important to keep the oxygen coming in when we're really working the body. I know when I'm in the sauna at 65 degrees, I'm like, oh, I'm actually breathing like I'm running now or like I'm jogging. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, we know that's going to be happening because we're working the body hard. So let's just start to do that whilst we're in there. And it's also a good way to sort of separate yourself from the heat if it is quite intense. It's a good way to sort of stay centered and calm during that session.
that would be a good time. You know, that for me, that last 5 to 10 minutes of the sauna, I'm like every cell in my body is like, get out, get out. But that's the time that you want to stay in. So trying to find that distraction to push through. I'll try that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So that's when the breathing really comes
Yeah.
in.
Nice.
I mentioned a dandelion root tea. You could definitely talk more about that. I just popped it on there because
yeah.
And and I also mentioned intermittent fasting. Again, if we're dealing with cortisol issues and those kind of things, it may not be the best option. But like you said at the start, Michaela, like if you want to just get to the crux of it, like if you want to lose some weight, let's work the body and let's eat less.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes we need to just be a bit sort of brute force with that understanding. So if you do this sauna session, like you get up, you drink your water, you go for an exercise, you jump in the sauna, it's hot, you come out, cold shower, maybe do a body scrub, sip some dandelion root tea, and then intermittent fast until midday. Like if you do that for a week, you'll see shifts, like you just will. So I thought I'd put that on there.
Sounds like a good morning.
Yeah, and it is a good morning. And you could even have an espresso with no milk and you're going to stay in a fasted state.
Yeah.
I was doing that for a long time. And like my mornings at work were just like the productivity was there.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So that's the weight loss one. I put one together for sleep as well.
Yes. Good.
Just because we're talking about the importance of sleep. So again, set up your house for a good sleep, like a pre-sleep evening, like I was talking about with the routines. Do all that before you hop in the sauna. And then when we're jumping in the sauna, we're going to be in there 5 degrees less than normal. So we don't want to be going super hot and working the body like crazy in the evening, because then we're going to come out, we're going to be all stimulated.
Yeah.
So 5 degrees less than normal and 5 to 10 minutes longer. So if you're normally in there at 55 degrees, just go in there at 50. Yes, you may take a little longer to sweat. That's okay, right? And we're going to go a little bit longer, just so we're really getting that far infrared, deep, relaxing, and just calming everything down. I've mentioned the chamomile cold brew, maybe with a touch of honey in there if you like. Don't bring your phone into this session. Put some relaxing music on, some meditation maybe. Just don't do anything in there. You know, maybe read a book. This is time for you in the evening when we're having this session. We want to be putting the red color light on, like I've got in the sauna in the background up there. Red is going to help balance the circadian rhythm, tells the brain it's the end of the day, it's time to relax. That's why we're talking about red light globes earlier. So just leave it on red, leave your relaxing music on there, and then just like close your eyes and feel the warmth, feel the sweat, still stay hydrated. Have some lavender essential oil in there, like you said, helps us get us in the right brain wave for sleep. And make sure you set your timer too, because you may fall asleep and we don't want you to be cooking for 90 minutes. So when you hop in the sauna, put your time on for 35, 40, 45 minutes. So then when it hits 0, it's going to turn the heaters off, just in case you do drift off. If you have a full spectrum sauna, use the near infrared for most of the session. Just because that's going to get that deep penetrative heat, just calm everything right down. And it's just a little bit more gentle. Again, we don't want to be like stimulating everything with intense heat and high temperatures. We want to calm everything down for this session. Even though it's tempting to go hot in the sauna, we don't have to do that all the time when we have the luxury of having them in our home, at least anyway. Just have a lukewarm shower afterwards. Again, we don't want to do cold water. That's going to stimulate everything, and we don't want to do that in the evening. So just a lukewarm rinse off, and no bright lights in the bathroom. Don't go and jump out of your beautiful sauna session and then go and turn the fluoro light on and like brush your teeth in the mirror like this, and all of a sudden you're telling your brain it's midday again. And what I find is people do this and then they say, man, I'm sleeping deeply, you know. You will still need to get up. If you do this a couple hours before bed, you're probably going to have to pee, you know. But people find they go back to sleep quite easily. I've even had reports of people who by using the sauna in the morning, they're sleeping better that evening. But this one's really around an evening session. It's a beautiful way to end the day, and just have a nice drift off.
I love having it at night, and then I go have a shower, and then like do all my lotions and potions, because everything soaks in. You know, like your moisturizer for your skin and your expensive, you know, skincare serums. They all soak in. Yeah, it's a nice little self-care nighttime routine. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So those are my two sessions that I thought I'd include in this one. Sleep and weight loss. I hope they've been good. I dropped that in there again, but I'm not going to read that. I can send that around. That's just some of the science around near and far infrared for people who are interested.
I feel like the sauna was honestly the best thing that I've ever bought. Literally. Actually.
Right.
Like I got it in November last year. So, and even in that how hot was summer, I used it most days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, it just feels so good. I feel so good. And even like, because my husband owns a clothing store, and they've been like having to deal with a lot of people with this whole COVID thing, like him coming home and getting in there, because obviously that virus doesn't live above 55 degrees or 56 degrees. So him getting in there and sweating out at 68 degrees for 20 minutes, it's like a mentally like a,
Yeah, I mean, the reason I put it down as a fundamental is because you can address so many of those other fundamentals while you're in there. But you can use it for so many different things. That's why I just love infrared sauna. I mean, you can de-stress in there, it can help you lose weight, it can help you with your sleep, it can help with inflammation, right? I mean, it may not be relining the gut wall, but it's doing a lot of other things, you know.
And there's science behind it, because because obviously, you know, in a lot of those European countries, they've been using it for so long. There's so much research that sometimes I'm like, me sitting on my butt for half an hour while I can sit on my phone, obviously we don't recommend doing that, or watching YouTube and having all these amazing benefits. It's like, it's too good to be true, but it's not, because the science is there. It's like, you know, like I feel like I'm cheating at life.
Exactly. And the thing is that actually, in a way, for a lot of European countries, it is a fundamental, because they don't do life without it, you know. So, and they are using it every day. And I would say, absolutely, you can use the infrared sauna every day. I've been through periods where I've used it for a month nonstop, you know, and you kind of get addicted to it. And you can definitely do that. And again, because you're addressing so many of those fundamentals in there, you're reducing the toxic burden on the body, you're sweating, you're hydrating, you're getting the cardiovascular system working. So, they're a pretty cool thing. We're all very lucky to have them in our homes for those of us who have them at the moment. So that's me. I'm going to let you talk through your course for anyone who wants to work with you, and then we're going to wrap it up because it's time.
Yes, we're going over time. I did say give extra time.
Yes. I'll stop sharing and you
can. Okay, I'll share.
Whilst you're doing that, cool. Those questions have been answered. Beautiful.
Okay, you got the questions. Perfect. Let me just find where we're up to. So I just wanted to quickly tell you guys a little bit about my program. It's an 8-week program, the Longevity Reset. So this program is actually based around what I've discussed tonight. And I've run this program twice last year, and I've had some incredible results helping women and men, but mostly women, in losing weight and keeping it off, but not just losing weight. It's about, you know, targeting the whole body. So we look at repairing the gut, we balance the hormones, we nourish and repair the adrenal glands, we really do a true deep liver detoxification. I get you sleeping well, and we fight aging. But I also work on renewing your relationship with food and your mindset around food and diet and weight loss. Because I know a lot of the women that come to see me with all these health issues that I've talked about today, they're not coming for those, they're coming for the weight loss. And they've done so many yo-yo diets in the past that they self-sabotage, they feel guilty, and they can't stick to a way of healthy eating. So the program is designed about rewiring your brain in how to eat and nourish and love your body. And then the side effect of that is all of the things that we have here, but the weight loss. I had one lady that did the first round of the program, and this is this lady here, Sharon, in this picture. She went from drinking 2 to 3 bottles of wine every night that she'd done for 3 or 4 years straight to going cold turkey, because the detox that we do in the program works on the addiction side of alcohol and things. And she lost 17.5 kilos in 8 weeks, which is insane.
Yeah.
And I don't guarantee that will happen to you, because she's an exception to the rule. But the rest of my participants have lost between 6 and 12 kilos in 8 weeks. But most importantly, we repaired and restored and brought their body back to balance first. Learn about their bodies and understood the signs that their bodies give. Learn how to eat properly and for their body. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's included. If Lucy wants to tap for me. Okay. So basically, I'm not very good at talking about these things, but the longevity reset, it's 8 weeks and it's 3 steps. So basically, we're peeling back the layers of health to heal and repair your body. The side effect will then be weight loss if that's what you want. But we do step 1, a 2-week intensive liver detox. Step 2 is a 2-week intensive gut repair program. So we repair that gut wall and the microbiome. And then we do 4 weeks of intensive hormonal. So balancing your sex hormones, adrenal, lowering that stress hormone and repairing the adrenal tissue, thyroid health and balancing. And it includes 3 online coaching sessions with me. So it's to set up your program. So it's completely personalized to you. You have your own personalized meal plan, super delicious and easy to prepare, realistic food for your life. And also like your shopping bill, you know, like how much your shopping budget is and all those kind of things.
Right.
You get $800 worth of practitioner only supplements. So these are supplements you can only get with a prescription, and also lifestyle products. So you don't need to bring anything with you into the program. You're given everything you need to transform your health. There's an 8-week online program. So it's all online. You can access it on your phone on an app. And it has lots of tutorials and classes and weekly step-by-step of each program to change your mindset and your mood and your outlook on life and give you an in-depth understanding of your body. So a lot more deep dive into what we've gone here, but I think it's really important when you understand what's happening with your body, you're more likely to look after it. You get an 80-page hard copy workbook. This was like the key to most of the participants' success, because you have weekly homework, you've got like daily activities like morning gratitude and things like you spoke about, like setting up a morning routine, keeping you on track. You even get an online naturopathic yoga program, and that's personalized to your goals. So you have heaps of videos that you can access and do from home, from 5-minute workouts to 10-minute for your body type, basically. And there's also a private Facebook group. So you get live Q&As from me, and there's this, you know, it's a community of like-minded people that are on the same journey as you. And I think that's a really important part of health, is having a community around you. And you get lifetime access. So every time I run around, you get access to your meal plan. You get access to the online program. You've got a digital copy of your workbook you can print out, and the Facebook group. So you can do it over and over again until you reach your goals. Because obviously, like some of the women that I've had in this group had over 100 kilos to lose. So they haven't got to their full health goal yet, but we get you there. And it's $2,500 worth of value. So it's ridiculously cheap, actually. And I know you said last time we talked about this, it's probably too cheap, but. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
But it starts really quickly. It starts May 18th. That's what day it kicks off. The sign-ups close May the 5th. And we spend the first week as like a pre-game. So I get you all your stuff out to you and we get you set up ready for kick-off on May 18th. And there are limited spaces. So if you're interested, we will send you some info when we send the recording, and you'll have my details and stuff.
Yeah, beautiful. And cool. Yeah, can definitely vouch. I think that should be worth more. So people get on board.
Yes, beautiful. Now, do we have any other questions or?
No, I think so.
Yep, I think that's it. No. Oh, I should tell you the price of the program, shouldn't I?
Oh, that would help.
That'd be really helpful. It has 2 payment options. You can pay in full. It's $12.99. You save $100, or a payment plan. So a monthly payment of $467, 1 payment each month. And if you guys sign up by May 4th, you'll get a bonus $150 self-care pack, which is pretty awesome. And the package you get of all your sups and your beauty products, your lifestyle products and everything, it's like Christmas. So it's really exciting. And that is me. That's me out.
And yeah, we'll send around some info on that in the email tomorrow with the video.
Yeah.
There'll be a link to go through to your site where they can make that purchase as well.
Perfect.
There's no other questions. What was there a wrap up slide there?
Oh, was there a wrap up slide? Yes. Where did I put it? Let me go back. Share. I've lost it now.
That's okay.
A second. Oh, here it is. Oh, there's one.
You got it.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so Q&A. Oh yeah, in summary.
Cool. In summary, well, those are all the things that we covered. Yes, the video will be sent around tomorrow with your free ebook as well,
yes.
Which has a lot of what we covered tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate taking your time out tonight to come and watch us.
Yeah.
I always have fun on these things. So.
Yeah. I hope it's been helpful for everyone. And yeah, like I said, we'll send the information around. Thank you to everyone who has stuck with us for 2 hours.
We did well. We did well. I think we got most people.
Yeah, we did. Thank you for everyone who put a question through as well. Yeah, everyone go have a good evening. Happy saunering and happy liver cleansing. And yeah, have some time for yourself tomorrow. Think about your morning and evening routines, and stay well, most importantly, through what's going on at the moment and just in general. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Michaela. It's been awesome having you on.
Love it.
Always.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll see everyone soon.
Bye.
Ciao.